Good evening, everyone. My name is McNamara. I'm the Executive Director of the East Providence Area Chamber of Commerce, and we're so happy to have you with us this evening, as well as our co-presenters. This is part of the Watchemoket Square Week in East Providence, Rhode Island. And tonight we have Jim Moran, who is the Acting Director of the East Providence Planning and Economic Development Department, and Dave Weeds here also from the Sowams Heritage Area project, and a bunch of other hats that he wears, so he'll be talking about what he's involved with. Dave Bachrach is also here. He's the Community Development Officer for the City of East Providence. He's going to chime in. And if anybody wants to ask any questions during the presentation, feel free to do so. We have a small group this evening, but we know that there's a lot of folks that expressed interest in seeing this video. So we are recording it, and it will be posted on the WatchemoketSquareDay.com website and also on the East Providence Area Chamber.com website. I'd like to thank our sponsors for this event, as well as Watchemoket Square Week. Our silver sponsors are Brown Medicine, Brown Physicians, Washington Trust, Woods Heating Service, and our bronze sponsors are Aspen Aerogels, IHOP, the Cardinal Restaurant Group, Todd Swimming, Santander, and Verizon. Thank you so much for supporting this event and allowing us to make this happen. So this is the first evening of Watchemoket Square Week, our presentation. Tomorrow night at City Hall on Taunton Avenue is the Native American Heritage Celebration hosted by the City of East Providence, and that is from 6 to 8 p.m. in City Hall. So if you're interested in attending that, it goes from 6 to 8 p.m. It's 145 Taunton Avenue. Is that the address, Jim?
Yes.
City Hall. Also, if you check the website, WatchemokeTSquareDay.com, there's a bunch of information on there about upcoming events, as well as the history of Watchemoket Square, which we'll go over this evening, but there's also more information on that website. So we look forward to telling you all about what's happening in Watchemoket Square. So I will turn it over to Jim Moran to get started.
Okay, thank you, Laura. I am very happy to be here this evening, and I hope that my screen share works like it did it did work.
Yeah.
All right. As I said, yep, I am Jim Moran. I am the acting planning director for the Department of Planning and Economic Development. As many of you already know, Bill Fazioli recently went back to the private sector to get back to his kind of roots. He works a lot with municipal bonds, so we certainly all wish him the best in terms of his new endeavor. But that doesn't change anything for the planning department. We're still geared towards moving forward and seeing all the wonderful things that are kind of going on and carrying on with what's been going on in the city for several years. And certainly we want to keep the momentum moving. And I know Watchemoket Square has been one of those places in East Providence that's drawn a lot of interest. I know, we've got other places that are certainly very critical too. I know David's been working a lot down Riverside Square, which is another important square. But for this presentation, we're going to kind of focus on Watchemoket. Some of the things I'm going to go over kind of stretch beyond Watchemoket. Certainly the Sowams discussion will stretch well beyond Watchemoket, because Watchemoket is just one small part of that much larger area. But many of the things that we do tie into Watchemoket. Almost all the things have really great relevance to what's happening in Watchemoket. So I'll start right off the top and move down to kind of the beginning of where we started from a Watchemoket analysis to kind of learn more about how to get more people to come to Watchemoket, to enjoy the waterfront, and to get more things happening in our waterfront, specifically at Watchemoket. So that kind of goes back to a day before COVID, where we met in the fall of 2019 and had a very, very active meeting at the Talkwat home. And you can see by the number of people who were in attendance at this event that it was very successful, drew in a lot of people. I think there were folks from the Sowams tribe that were there. There were people from the historic district commissions. There were business people, just a great cross section of people who attended this session. And we learned a lot from the people who provided feedback at that event. So we did end up having a final product that was created in May of 2021. There's a link at the bottom when this presentation is posted. When Laura posts this, people will be able to hit that link and be able to visit that report and look at it directly. By the way, from the standpoint of, I'll go through the presentation, but I think it's kind of, if there are, really pointed questions that come up while I'm presenting, people can chime in if they would like.
Yeah, or you can type them in the
That's
the
true.
chat area too.
That's
I'll keep
probably
an eye
more
on that.
organized. Yeah, that might be the more organized way of doing it. And then basically just a little bit of an extension of what that study kind of came up with in terms of ideas. It funded, an analysis that Beta Inc. was the primary contractor. They went out, did a lot of work, did a lot of analysis. And then in that report, they kind of identified areas where welcome and wayfinding signage might be a good idea, potential locations for convenient parking, improving connectivity, walkability in the square, working with the Arts Council to increase art in the square, because when this study began, prior to this, I mean, we have the sculpture garden that's been there prior to the study being started, but we were trying to increase the amount of art that was in our area. And, certainly Watchemoket was a very big focal area for where that art could be highlighted. And then placemaking recommendations that support downtown vibrancy, support entrepreneurship. We're really interested in seeing initiatives that will help to generate new business investment. And that's where we kind of go with a lot of the things that are recommended in that study. And then at the same time, we had applied for a grant from the Commerce Corporation to do some things that would improve the square as well. And we did get we did use the funding for 3 primary areas, which was the welcome sign, 3 art kiosks that we'll highlight in this presentation, and then a super wayfinding public announcement sign. That there were 3 of those that were financed, and we'll go into those too with slides, kind of slides down the road here a little bit. Really quick, just to kind of go over some of the major things that were identified in that study, just to go over it real quick. Revitalization strategy, arts and culture certainly was a big part of that, creating that arts and culture anchor. Dining and entertainment, you can't really do anything if you don't feed people and give them good places to eat. That generates a lot of, people visiting your community. So really trying to build up our dining and entertainment venues and options for that. And then capitalizing on that waterfront setting, because we really do have a beautiful waterfront setting that for many years was underappreciated. It was an industrial waterfront hidden under that, kind of dark and oily, surface, was a beautiful waterfront. And I think, that's really emerged over the past 20 years. And as time goes on, I think you'll see it either emerge and look even more beautiful as development occurs and as our waterfront is cleaned up even more. So then the link is there again at the bottom. That's for if people missed it on the first slide. Just an idea of what some of the things that could happen if we, were to implement some of the things that are happening in the waterfront. This is the intersection of Moran Avenue and Waterfront Drive. The study, kind of an architect, kind of landscape architect, came up with some ideas on how we might be able to dress up that intersection. There's artwork that kind of represents sailing and the waterfront, and the pilings that are kind of in the ground there, numeric, like the nautical themed approach to things. That's something that could happen. We'd be certainly looking to get additional grant funding that might be able to fund some of these things, to build some of these things using federal, state, and local funds to do that. And then just really quick, this is a big slide with a lot of words, but it just barely kind of talks about our arts district. We did have we now have a designated arts district that was enacted in 21, that it allows for artists, composers residing in the district to be exempt from income tax from the sale of their work, which is certainly a hopeful way of generating more people to live and work within the arts district. And you can see it's a fairly, that purple area kind of represents where the area is. It goes all the way up to the Henderson Bridge, goes all the way down to quite a bit ways down into Vets Parkway, and quite a bit into all the way out to Six Corners and Broadway to the east. So quite a bit of opportunity for artists to live and work in those locations. Placemaking, certainly placemaking is a very important part of what we want to make happen in the square, not only in the Watchemoket, but probably citywide. You're talking about Taunton Avenue, Government Center, Riverside Square. We're trying to generate the kind of things that happen that make people want to be there. And, I know, Laura, you just mentioned tomorrow night, the event at City Hall. those are the kind of things that draw people in. There's a lot of interest for people to see interesting things that are happening, things that are kind of out of the ordinary. And I think those kinds of things that are draw people to a community. And it's very encouraging when we do more of these events and create that kind of activity. I can't remember where that picture was taken. I'm not sure if it was, I don't know if anybody recognizes it. I think it was in Texas, but it was a big outdoor market that basically drew in thousands, and there's all kinds of food options in there. And just a great festival it's occurring. You can see how much it's drawn people to the center of that downtown area. And, you look at the picture of Watchemoket Square, that's kind of a slightly depressing view of the square because there's not a single soul to be seen there. And that's kind of what we're trying to change. We're trying to draw more people to come to that place, create opportunities. And some of those things are already there, the Comedy Connection, the Black Duck Tavern, the 133 Tavern. And so even though that picture kind of shows nobody in the street, nobody walking around, those kinds of uses and those kinds of businesses are drawing activity down to that square. And we're trying to promote more of that as we go on. And then when you look at a recent visit by Roger Brooks of Destination Development Association, he came into town a couple of weeks back and did a kind of an analysis of our community. It's an interesting way they do it. He comes in and acts just like a tourist, taking a look around, taking a look at what happens and the heartbeat of the community, and then reports back to the community what we might be able to do to improve our standing for business attraction and kind of making your community more vibrant. And I think one of the things that came out of that, he did provide some great feedback on how we can make ourselves better, maybe making ourselves more welcoming, maybe doing things like maybe instead of having these signs that kind of say, no loitering, putting up all the regulations on the signs, maybe having a welcome sign there first, and then underneath that, having maybe something that just explains what you need to do to keep the park safe or not to litter. And his report kind of reaffirmed that many of the city's attraction and tourism strategies, we're actually doing them. So he's kind of reaffirmed that we're kind of on the right track, gave us some good advice on things we can do. And we're certainly looking forward to him when he provides the full report to take a look at that and kind of get a nice list of the things that we can do to try to make our community even more inviting and more vibrant. So that was a good visit by Roger. The Watchemoket Square sign, kind of segueing into the things that we do for like the wayfinding and welcoming. We actually, part of our commerce grant, we did get the $75,000. This is one of the, we used some of the money to provide this welcome sign, which is being done by Providence Painted Sign. You can see that it's not quite completed. It's almost done, but these pictures were taken on the bottom from a couple of weeks ago. And this is all hand painted sign, really nice looking sign. And we're looking to place this at the end of the Warren Avenue 1D exit, so that when people come to that exit, they will see the sign directly in front of them. During the daytime, it'll be right in front of them. And at nighttime, when they have their headlights on, they will be able to see that sign right in front of them. So that's kind of the first sign that kind of says, East Providence, Watchemoket, and kind of identifies where they are. Doesn't say welcome per se, but it certainly does look like a very welcoming sign from the standpoint of colorful and telling people where they are.
Yep.
The Lantern Trail Art Kiosks, another part of our commerce grant. We spent funding to build 3 art kiosks in cooperation with the Arts Council, who was very much involved in the discussion to put these together. We actually had a local art fabricator, Paul Amaral of Amaral Custom Fabrications, who actually built these 3 kiosks. And you can see that in the pictures on this particular slide shows them under construction in Paul's studio at Phillipsdale Landing. So, and the one on the upper right kind of shows the beta kind of concept that they provided in the beta study. And what you see here are the finished products. And these were installed at 3 locations. The first one is installed at the corner of Burgess and Warren Avenue. You can actually see the Oddfellows Hall in the background. So it's right in that corner. And that land actually that's on is, we're leasing that land from the state, so that in the event Oddfellows Hall needs additional parking, we could potentially convert that lot into a parking area, which as a parking area and having artwork on that location, I think would be very, very positive. The second one in the middle is my favorite of the three, actually. It's very colorful and I like it a lot. It's within the sculpture garden. So they installed that one on the sculpture garden. And then the third one shows basically 4 East Providence landmarks. And the image that you're seeing, this was installed at City Hall. And the 2 you see are the old water tank. And if you know East Providence history, that water tank is long gone, but people who lived in East Providence know that water tank. It was really an icon. Of course, the lighthouse is another icon. The other icons that you can't see on the other side are the school bell tower and the carousel, which are certainly two. Everyone loved the school bell tower. Alas, it's not with us anymore, but a nice reproduction of that bell tower is actually there at the school now. And of course, the carousel is a real treasure.
Yep.
Then next, the super signs. We basically, as another way of making wayfinding signs, the nice thing about the super signs is that they're an electronic bulletin board, if you will. They provide news of what's happening in the city, and they also can provide a wayfinding sign. If you look on this sign, you can see there is a map that shows the locations of certain points of interest. But on the other side of these super signs, there's a graphic, and I kind of took it. This is what you'd see on the other side. If you were looking at the other side of this particular kiosk, you would see this, and it would provide announcements of local events, would give you the weather. There's some opinion pieces here. And then what ends up happening is we can actually post things on this local updates page at any time. Myself, the mayor's office does things. If there's a major event occurring, you'll see that being presented right out on the street. So people walking by can see this and take a look at it. And this is kind of like our electronic bulletin board. We're also trying to generate additional sponsors. One of the things that can happen with these boards is if some advertising wants to, and someone in the community of business wants to advertise their business, they could potentially advertise on these kiosks and these super signs. And that's what we're trying to do, is to get businesses to step forward and provide funding so they can put skins on these sofa signs to advertise. And,
Who would they contact for that, Jim?
The SUFA, if you go to sufa.com, they can reach out to them and they would basically contact them and they would give them all the information they need. They could also contact the city. We have access through that too, and we could also do that. We've been out talking to a number of people indicating, for example, I would love to see Bob Armstrong do a cow, super sign cow. I think that would be wonderful if he could have.
Rhode Dairy.
I can just see that cow image on that super sign. So that's just me thinking out loud, but that's something like that. If you can imagine, that would be any kind of local advertising who might have something that's a kind of an iconic figure or an iconic item. You see something that's like advertising that's right out in the middle of the street. Everyone can see it. And you can see the location of this. It's right next to City Hall, right across from Cafe Zara. So it's very visible. The other one is located in front of the Asian American market in Watchemoket. And then the third one's located down by the Comedy Connection. So they're all in very high traffic areas. And just a little bit of an idea, a little bit more. That's Gordon Hubbard looking at the wayfinding map that's located on the sign. But the nice thing about it too is we can determine how many people are walking by these signs. It gives you an idea of the number of hourly people that are pedestrians that are walking by. And you can see, like, Moran Avenue has, for some reason, it's doubled up here, but there are 30 that were walking on the one that's further up Warren Avenue. Warren Avenue 82, which I think is in front of the Asian market, has 82 people, and then Taunton Avenue has 145 pedestrians per hour. So it gives you a real kind of a map that shows exactly how many people are walking past that sign. And if you have things like QR codes on those signs, you can get more information as to what people are looking at, what they're downloading, what they're looking at.
Jim, are those kiosks, are they all tied into the same messaging, or do they have individual pieces of information on them.
East Providence, they're all kind of tied together. You can do them so that they, can kind of change their images differently depending on what the location is. You have the ability to go in and do that. In our case, most of the time they're just kind of like changing the images altogether. So if you, and then if you go onto the dashboard, we can actually find out what's up on that dashboard at any particular moment. We can also kind of determine, what people have, again, what QR codes they may have scanned. If there are advertisers, what people are looking at on those signs, but they do kind of, so the way we have them set up, they're kind of showing the same thing at all three of those kiosks together.
Great, thank you.
Okay. And then
is there a possibility of adding more signs in the future?
Oh yeah, yes. In fact, we kind of said, let's take a look and see how these do. And if they do work out, we could potentially locate more in some of our high volume areas, like, for example, like Riverside Square, or, other places, maybe up on Broadway, or areas where you generate a large volume of pedestrians who might, be able to take advantage of seeing those things. So absolutely, if these work out, they've only been installed for, a little over a year, but as time goes on, we'll determine if they pay dividends. And of course,
I like the analytics.
Yeah,
you don't get that with any other kind of advertising.
Yeah.
No, and we just also felt that the wayfinding aspects of it, and if there are any advancements, and the other thing too is once we paid for them, we don't have to pay any further fees. We basically, for any advertising comes in, the city gets a piece of the advertising. All repairs are done by the SUFA company. We don't have to pay anything to do any repairs or updates or upgrades. If new graphics are installed, or if there's new technology installed, SUFA would take care of all that too. So that's a plus side as well. Okay, now this is just a little quick overview of the sculpture garden, again, just showing what we've done. The kiosk that's located there. The new, I think it's called Feathers, is the
Feathers
artwork
3
that's in the background. And that's when we did the ribbon cutting for the installation, that's a photo from that. And just the items on the left kind of indicate that the artwork will kind of be cycled in and out. It kind of talks about how the selection process went. And then basically the installation of the artwork that was installed will be taken out in 2023. And then the selection committee will look to install new artwork that would replace that, and then those would be replaced on a regular basis. So the nice thing about this is that new artwork will get featured, and will be up there for a period of time and then come down and have new artwork to replace it. So that's kind of exciting. And now, I put this screen up. David Bachrach, who's very knowledgeable of the Oddfellows Hall and has been working with the owners extensively. He's going to kind of talk a little bit about what's going on at Oddfellows. And as he talks, I've got a few images here up so that people can get a little bit of a feel about what the building, what it looks like, and what it did look like, and what it looks like now, and maybe what's going to happen next. So David, if you want to take it away, you certainly can.
Thanks, Jim. Yes, this is a building that when I started work for the city, coming across the exit from the bridge, Washington Bridge, onto Taunton Avenue, it's hard for someone like me and a number of people to not have this building catch the eye. It's obviously a older style building with beautiful windows and architecture. So I was very happy that at one point, unfortunately, the current owner at that point just wasn't willing to fix it up, regardless of offers of us going to town, working for getting historic preservation grants and so forth. So that large picture you see of 2018 image is how that building just was, degrading over time without any help, without any investment. So the city finally, the current owner, it went into tax lien and tax title. City took it for tax title. And we instead of selling it at a tax sale, we kept it because we just saw the potential for that, and we didn't want it to be sold and demolished and the land used for other purposes. We also kind of didn't want it to be developed well. The interior of the building, the second floor was the Oddfellows Hall. And this is a wonderful large space that is inside of the second floor where you see those buildings that, those windows that go up. And those windows, the hall goes all the way up, the ceiling all the way up to the roof line. And the hall is as large as where all those built windows are, and it goes from one side of the building to the other. So it's quite a grandiose hall. And we didn't want to see a developer build a floor through that and capitalize. Understandably, they would want to capitalize on more, let's say, residential space. So we were very, lucky and extremely grateful to find a couple that invested in the property, bought it from the city, and their passion is historic preservation. And that's just what we needed for this building. So they have done a lot of work to the exterior, which is the first place to start in a building like this to protect it from the elements. So the current image in your bottom right-hand corner shows that they've put in a new roof. The soffit detail there, that is the lighter color at the roof line, they had to have that fabricated. And I remember the owner, I called him, and he's somewhere in northern Connecticut, or I forget what state, but he was searching wide and far for a fabricator that would actually create the same detail that went into that soffit. And that just speaks to the passion that they have of not doing anything differently than what the original building had, even for those parts that they had to replace because of rot. So then you now they put in the windows as the old style windows were. And now the bottom left-hand corner is the first floor. And they've basically, what was in there was a kitchen, bathroom, showroom, and it had drop ceilings and different areas that you could kind of go through and envision different styles of cabinets and so forth. But when we would go there, because of the past owner had just pretty much abandoned the building, it was a wreck. You could barely walk through sections. It smelled. The parts of the ceilings were coming down. It was really kind of an apocalyptic vibe to the place. So the current owner removed all that and exposed back to the studs and up to the old framing that literally is, I would guess, about 15-foot high ceilings. And he just wanted to open up the space back to the original. And then he's waiting for commitments from some interests, first floor tenants that would come lease it for mostly things like, maybe coffee shop, restaurant type reuses, maybe a small aspect of retail. And he's envisioning this space. It has two obvious storefronts in the front on Warren Ave. And so he's seen it as dividing into thirds, potentially, depending upon the reuse. But he's really open to, he's really committed to what the city thinks is a good fit for the building. That is situated kind of at the gateway to the waterfront, at the bottom of Warren Ave. And he really wants to make it a model anchor for Watchemoket Square, and has a lot of pride in the building. So I can't wait until this current interest, if they get across the finish line. I can't wait to see the reuse and see the doors open for hopefully some superb food, cocktails. He's going to build a deck patio out the back ends that not many people see. And have, if there's a coffee shop, there'll be seating out there. Same with the restaurant. And that will be a great day to celebrate the rebirth of this building. The plans for the second and third floors, just conceptual at this point, but some form of residence. But he's still going to maintain not interrupting those windows. He's going to keep those windows intact, and there's not going to be any floors going across there. His vision is on the second floor, you'd have your living area and of an apartment, and then you would go up to the third floor. Or not quite third floor, because the second floor is so high and big, to a loft area that would be to the interior space. So he'll kind of make a cross in the inside with walls and build little loft areas coming out from that. So when you're upstairs, you look out over the first floor living area, you look out the top part of the window, you can look down, you see the bottom part of the window. I think it's a wonderful concept. So that would also be a great catch for those that would like to live in a environment like that. And I think the future of this area of Watchemoket Square on the waterfront is extremely positive. I think that there's a lot going for it. There's already a lot percolating, a lot's already occurred. And I think this will be a significant destination point within the next 10 years. So I'm very thankful for these owners. I, of course, am impatient for this all to happen, as everyone is. And as are the owners. They really, this is their baby. And they want to see it the way they envision it and come back to its heyday back in the day.
Great. Thank you, David.
Thank you. Yeah, and one of the things that's important about this property too is that it's located in that overlay so that you can do mixed use things. Our overlays allow businesses to kind of do additional things beyond what's just in the underlying zoning. They can come in and do much more mixed use. There's reduced parking standards, so that makes it easier for developers to come in and redevelop these properties. So as David indicated, it's very exciting, and we certainly are looking forward to the finished product. It'll be
it's a wonderful anchor for all the things that can come after it as well.
Absolutely.
Yes,
Yeah,
and the owner is secretly hoping that some artists will occupy those residential units and have live workspaces, which then their artwork can be showcased on the lower commercial levels. But he's very committed to. He doesn't want to do anything. He always comes to us first and says, well, what do you think? Will this be something that you think the community would want, the city would want? It would be good for this area. He's not paying attention to a bottom line. He's paying attention to what would be good for the building and for this area. So that's he's a great community-minded attitude.
Right. And I just know that all of those students who graduate from RISD every year are looking for a place to get started, and what a wonderful opportunity this would be.
Could be. So that is a very important landmark that we hope, we look forward to seeing some exciting things from that down the road. And there is some parking that we're going to be providing. As I mentioned earlier, there's some parking to the right of this building, but there's also a large parking lot that's going to be developed across the street that's going to provide additional off-street parking for visitors to the square. Right now, we've kind of got it designed, but we're still looking for money to build it, because a lot of times what ends up happening is sometimes you can design it, but you got to shake the tree sometimes to get money for funding. So that's just another aspect of what we're trying to do. Which kind of leads right into another, quick overview about what's going on with major transportation infrastructure projects. The biggest ones right now are the Washington Bridge improvements. Everyone's kind of living it right now. There's all kinds of traffic jams over the Washington Bridge. People are kind of maybe a little frustrated about all the construction, but all the frustration will eventually lead to some major improvements that are going to make it a lot easier. They tell us that when the bridge is improved, that commutes are going to go from about 15 minutes down to about less than 10 minutes. So it's going to improve efficiency on that roadway, according to according to Rhode. And then if you look here, you can see that the biggest thing for us is that there's going to be a new westbound off-ramp that's going to get traffic coming off of 195 right down to the waterfront. And this is really what's going to help it's going to kind of it's like the gasoline on the fire, if you will. It's going to really help our waterfront to take off and to provide that direct access. Anybody who knows that to get to our waterfront now, you got to get off at Broadway. You got to take a left, take a right, take a left, and deal with all traffic lights. That's frustrating. This is going to change that. And it's also going to make better connections to Providence, which we look at Providence as being a great asset to have right next to us. The people that would come from Providence to visit East Providence, people from East Providence going into Providence, I think that's all a part of the vibrancy of what our region can bring. And so right now we're going through the frustrations, but we'll see by 2025, this project will be complete. That's their timeline for completing it. The next big project, the Henderson Bridge project, is located just north of that, and most people have seen that. It's under construction. The original bridge is showing up here on the right. That's pretty much gone. This is the bridge partially deconstructed. I went under this under a water tour with Bob Billington, actually, with his group, and we got a nice view of the bridge from underneath. And it's always good to be able to see things from the water. Things you can't see from the land are often much more easy to see from the water. So that created some great views from underneath for me to see what was going on at that time. This is a little bit of an overview of what the profile is going to look like. Two lanes. What they're planning on doing is having 2 lanes of travel in the westbound direction and 1 lane of travel in the eastbound direction, which some people were saying, shouldn't it be 4 lanes? But according to Rhode, they indicate that the single lane going into East Providence is sufficient. They do need more capacity to bring cars from East Providence into Providence. And so you've got the 2 lanes going into Providence. This on the right is a bike path and pedestrian walk path that goes across, which is certainly a very big improvement over the way you have to go over that bridge now. The way it was before was kind of like take your life into your hands when you've gone over. That project's also expected to be completed in 2025. Cost is $84 million. And the other thing you'll notice about this project is that it has a roundabout. So we'll see how the residents of East Providence react to having a roundabout in the community. I know they loved them in Apponeon for a while, but hopefully we get a better response in East Providence. Real quick, just wanted to go over, this is not specific to Watchemoket, but if you ever listen to Bill Fazioli when he would talk about how to make our community more vibrant, and that is to build more housing, bring more young people to our community. And I think that's where we've had a lot of success. I think we've seen a number of high-profile projects that have gone through. I haven't even mentioned them all here. I just kind of put them in quickly. Some of the ones that came to mind really quickly. The Vets Parkway certainly is in Watchemoket, 30 units, and most of those are being occupied by younger people. So I think those people are, if they're living there, they're going to be shopping, potentially eating, doing things in Watchemoket. Got to believe that they're taking advantage of that. Probably also taking advantage of the fact that, Wickenden Street's right across the way, and it's very close to a lot of fun activities and things to do. And then, Ivy Place is another one that's located on Taunton Avenue. That's down here on the right. That's going to have 9 affordable units. There's going to be some retail down below. We're really going to be excited when the groundbreaking, they technically did do a groundbreaking. Construction should begin any day. And then I just did some quick notations about other projects that are happening in the city, not specific to Watchemoket, but certainly very important. Wampanoag Meadows, 416 apartment units are being developed in several buildings. The Newport Center up on Newport Avenue, 142 apartment units. East Point, which is being developed by Bachrach, that's going to have, I think, 394 residential units. I don't know why I didn't put that in there, but there are 394 residential units, with 39 of those units being age-restricted units. And then Waterman Avenue Apartments, which is located up on Waterman near James, they're going to have 25 units that are going to be very similar to the design that they built up on Circle Street, which is this development right here. So I find that's a very pleasing new residential apartment building that was built up in Rumford. They're going to be doing the same. Lenhart, the Paragon Group is the ones that are actually building these apartments. So that's very exciting. The Sowams Heritage Area is something that I, had indicated. David was going to really give an overview about the Sowams Heritage Area. Laura, did you say that you wanted me to kind of go through the presentation and I could back up to this again?
Yeah, why don't we do that? Finish up your presentation. Then we'll.
Yeah, so let me just move right past this because David's going to really cover this in detail. And then I'm just going to give you a quick overview about some of the things that are happening in the waterfront still. The venue picture that you see above is kind of what the waterfront enterprise is going to be building down by Bull Point. You can see how exciting that is. That's kind of like if you're familiar with the pavilion up at the districts in Boston there, the waterfront district in Boston. They have the same type of venue that they want to bring here. There's going to be upgrades to the Bull Point parking area. Just you can see all kinds of outdoor opportunities. It's going to be a really great venue for outdoor activities and of course attending incredible waterfront entertainment events that are going to be going on. They're looking to have that open in 2024, the 24 summer season. And then also part of that South Quay, which really isn't visible in this image, kind of cuts it off a little bit, but that was the groundbreaking for the wind farm, that the laydown area for wind energy. The state has provided $35 million in funding to actually do work to create a laydown area on that South Quay to create, to potentially store wind blades and other technology that will help to see these wind farms established offshore all around New England, down into New York and into New Jersey. So that's certainly an exciting part of what's going to be happening on our waterfront. Just real quick, want to talk about some of the for businesses that are looking to take advantage of some of the programs we have right now. We have a Take It Outside program that can provide up to $10,000 in grants for people who want to do any kind of improvements that would attract people to their restaurant or activity in an outdoor setting. And those funds can be used to do any kind of improvements like tables, chairs, patios, heating elements, a whole bunch of different things that can be taken. Masks, even hand sanitizer, security, and insurance costs related to those activities. All those will be allowed under that Take It Outside program. Victor Regino is the guy in our office who administers that program. So he and he works with Melissa Spur on a lot of this stuff. Storefront Improvement Program, that's kind of administered through Melissa Spur. She works in our office as well. And that program provides funding from the ARPA funds to do up to $40,000 in ineligible storefront improvements. $10,000 is without a match. You don't have to do a match. If you do anything above that, up to $40,000, you have to provide a 25% match. but that allows you to do all kinds of improvements to your building, new signage, new exterior improvements, new windows. And that's gotten a very exciting, very active response from the business community. And I think as a result, you're going to see some really nice looking improvements on our business communities. And the stuff you're going to see, a lot of businesses that maybe were a bit tired and need some improvements, these grant funds are going to help to do that. So I would say anybody who wants more information on that should go to our webpage, eastprovidencebusiness.com, go to the resources tab, and you'll be able to download the information on all these programs. And then last but not least, the microloan and commercial loan programs. We do have funding to provide assistance. There's also money, I didn't mention it, but in this narrative here, but David also has funding that can be used for our commercial loan program under his CDBG program. So we have a variety of resources where we can provide funding to assist small businesses. And I would say, talk to myself, talk to David, and then talk to our economic development staff for any other questions you may have on these programs. And that's my shameless plug for our economic development programs. And then I just will say thank you, and then I will immediately back up to, I know, David, you're going to share your screen, so feel free to take it from there. Thank you very much, everybody, for listening.
Thank you, Jim.
My speech.
Thank you. That was very insightful. And thanks, Dave Bachrach, too, for the information about Oddfellows and
Yes, thank
all
you
that's
very much.
happening.
Yeah. These are terrific plans, and the more I hear about them, the more excited I get. And I was glad that you included the whole session on housing. My son and daughter-in-law live in East Providence. He has an easy 20-minute commute to North Providence, but his wife, who just started working at Brown, walks to work from East Providence.
Wow.
So you really got to start rethinking the whole East Side thing. East Providence really is going to be the new East Side of Providence, and provide opportunities for people that haven't been available for a long time. So that's just really forward thinking. I think when Bill Fazioli talked about housing as the really important resource, people can't go somewhere unless they live somewhere. So living in East Providence is really going to be the up and coming thing. And I'm so happy that you're working very hard to make that happen.
Mm-hmm.
I'm interested in people living there, but I'm also interested in people visiting there. And one of the reasons that we've been working on this Sowams Heritage Area, people may or may not be familiar with the fact that East Providence is part of Sowams, S-O-W-A-M-S, which is the original name of the settlement of the people who lived there for 10,000 years. And I always like to say that if you want to find the best places to live, look for the people who've lived there the longest. And that's the Pokanoket tribe, the people who connected with the Pilgrims in Plymouth in 1621 and created a treaty that lasted over 50 years that enabled the English to live and thrive in the area. If you want to find the best places to live, look at where the people live there the longest. And Watchemoket was one of those places. I really would like people to know more about that history. So that's why we're creating a national, what could become a national heritage area. You're already part of the Blackstone Heritage Area. And heritage areas across the country are regions that bring people together to discover historical places that they didn't know anything about. And once they get there, then like any other development project, they discover good places to eat and good places for entertainment, and places like the Oddfellows Hall. Okay, you don't have to come there expecting only to see 17th century places. You can look at 18th, 19th, and 20th century places. It's all a matter of bringing people together around a common theme and helping them explore an area that currently really isn't very accessible to people. So this is what's really exciting about these projects. And as you can see from the map in the lower left, the heritage area goes from Providence all the way down to Bristol and includes a little bit of nearby Rhode Island and in Seekonk, Rehoboth, and Swansea. So there's lots to explore. I've been putting together an inventory, and I'm just shocked at the wealth of historic sites in all 8 of these communities. We're literally talking of probably between 400 and 500 places that are on the National Registry. I had no idea. Well, you don't have an idea because nobody tells you about them. So this project is to help people discover that, and that's what we're working on. Let me just say briefly, can I share my screen here? Let's see if that
You
works.
should be able to do that.
Okay, and let me just take you over to one example. Let's see if I can get that going. Here we go. This was at the Newman Congregational Church in East Providence. Was about a month ago, right at the end of October, just the day after Hocus Pocus, right?
Yeah.
Yes, in the cemetery there.
Wow.
If people aren't already aware, the Newman Church is one of the oldest congregations in New England. It goes back to 1643. You have a hard time finding anything much older in New England.
Yeah. Excuse me, Jim, are you seeing Dave's screen yet?
He's on mute.
Wait, there you go. Okay. Can you see Dave's screen, the Congregational Church?
Yes, we can see it, Laura.
Okay, thank you.
Good. Okay.
I had to let Jim's screen go.
Yeah. Okay. Good. Well, this was the celebration. We put a new historic marker there, and invited the Pokanoket tribe, some of whom you can see in the background there, and the congregation really put on a fabulous celebration there, and it tells us the story of the Ring of the Green. This is back when East Providence was Rehoboth, the first settlement out of Plymouth that bordered on the Seekonk River here, and really started the history of English settlement in this area. So we want people to know more about the history. The church has really embraced this. They're in the middle of a 3-part series of a book discussion and helping people learn more about what happened to Native Americans. And as Laura already pointed out, people want to know more about the Pokanoket tribe. Just show up at City Hall tomorrow night for a 2-hour celebration that they are doing as part of the Native American Heritage Month, which is every November. So here's a few more pictures of the tribe on the left. Can you see my cursor over there? Yep. Yeah, that's the Sagamore of the tribe coming in, and the sachem of the tribe here being seated, and the congregation was very welcoming, along with them, with Pastor Timothy Sylvia, who was in, I think that was his next to last Sunday before leaving the church. So it was a special celebration and a real time for everybody to get involved. And we went across the street and heard that the tribe's drumming and a special song by Rainbow Warrior. Just a fabulous time. And I think this is an example of the kinds of events that you can do in an area once you discover the history.
Mhm.
And we need to help people understand that, you know, Watchemoket's kind of a funny name, wouldn't you say? It's not a name that just rolls off your tongue, but that's the original Native American name, the Pokanoket name for that area, and a place that they lived for thousands of years got food from the river there, used that river for transportation. And if people can start to imagine the heritage of that site and understand the people not only who used to live there, but the people who still live here, and learn something about the culture, I think that's just an added dimension in terms of what Watchemoket Square can really become, and really help people enjoy. I've always said, you want to know the best places to live, ask the people who've lived there the longest, and Watchemoket is one of those places. So I invite people anytime to learn more. You can go to the Sowams Heritage Area.org website, and everything that we know about all 8 communities and that 10,000-year history is up there, and some of the things that we're doing currently. And if you're already familiar with the Blackstone Heritage Area, remember, this isn't just about the theme. The theme of the Blackstone is the Industrial Revolution in America, but there's a lot of other things in the Blackstone Heritage Area, right, Laura? Lots of places that people can visit.
That's right. Bob Billington, if he's available, he can chime in on that a little bit.
Let me stop my share here. Maybe we can you get Bob up? I don't know if he's
he was kind of multitasking over there, but
Right.
I also want to mention that Dave Weed has an enormous collection of YouTube videos about all the presentations that he's done throughout the Sowams area, as well as other people, and it's just a wealth of information on that website, SowamsHeritageArea.org, and then his own YouTube channel. Do you have the name
Sure.
for that? Go ahead.
No, it's the Sowams Heritage Area YouTube, and right, you put in Sowams. That's all you need to do is just Google Sowams, and all this stuff comes up. Okay, and we've also we have over 600 people following the website. So anybody who wants to know more, just put your name and email address in, and you'll get a regular update about every 2 weeks. So.
That's great.
Dave, thank you. Yeah, I'll
Hey,
just,
Bob.
yeah. Hi there, everyone. David and Laura
Hi,
and Jim
Bob.
and Dave. Nice work on the Oddfellows building, David. My father-in-law owned the one in Pawtucket. That was such an interesting group of people, the Oddfellows. I'm not sure if they're even still organized anymore, but
They do. Yeah.
are they still around?
Yep.
Okay. Well, anyway, Dave, your work is always impressive, and you're just running 1,000,000 miles an hour trying to pull everything together. I can't keep up with you, and especially this time of the year, but I think we're really lucky that we have you kind of like a bridge in between the Native American community. I'm learning so much, and then our community that's lived here for the past 400 years. Just trying to put them together has been, a real challenge, but real good work on your part. So keep going and keep teaching. And Jim, thank you for the update on Watchemoket. It is a funny name, but it's a cool name. I mean, it's just fun to say it. And once you get those signs up, people are going to know exactly where it is. So thank you.
It's that hard to say. I mean, it rolls off my tongue, so I don't know. I'm not exactly.
Yeah.
No, I can't
good.
wait till everybody in Boston has heard of it. Okay. And seriously, I mean, when we have that new concert venue there, there's going to be literally thousands of people who will be driving to East Providence who've never been here before, and are going to discover this. And I just can't wait. Give it 10 years and it will be the place to go in the Boston area.
Absolutely.
And Watchemoket actually means, I had to look it up because that's what I do, means where land and water meet.
Yep.
So it's a meeting place area.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I've hung on every word, Jim and Dave and David, And, but I'm just trying to be respectful, and I've got a ton of work to do, so I'm gonna sign.
Absolutely.
But
I know.
I've
Thank you
listened
for
to
joining.
everything.
Appreciate
you.
it. Thank you. Yeah, and I just want to reiterate Bob's statement and Laura's statement about Dave Weed. Anytime we've had activities at Watchemoket, you've always been there with your camera and covering it, and that certainly helps, I think, get the word out more effectively. I think the fact that we're actually having events at City Hall that celebrate Native Americans, and I think that that's certainly a great step. And I think, again, talking about what people like to see, you know, people oftentimes are looking for things to do that are different than, you know, going here or going there. Somebody might say, oh, look at that, let's go take a look at that and see what's going on. And that's what I think makes this area an interesting place. And so more of that stuff, I'd certainly love it to see more of that happening, and the city embracing it more and more. And I think that's the real link to making our place more vibrant, and having people like yourself, Laura, and Dave, and everybody else who's involved.
And let's be sure to mention Mayor Bob, who
Bob
is
is very
behind
engaged.
all of this. Yeah.
Yeah, no, he's very, very supportive of the work that we've done. You know, if you look in that super sign, when he did the ribbon cutting for the super signs, he's been very enthusiastic in supporting what we're trying to accomplish. And he's a very pro-economic development mayor, so that's appreciated.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate all of you helping us out with this Zoom presentation. We were hoping this year we could have returned to our in-person event that we've been holding at Tockwatton on the waterfront. I'd mentioned earlier, this is our 12th annual Watchemoket Square Day week. And because of COVID, we went to the internet and did our Zoom presentations. And I contacted Tockwatton this year, and they were not allowing the community back into their building yet for health reasons. So we were sad about that, but we're glad that everybody was able to join us tonight for this online presentation. We were able to record it. If anyone has any questions, if you want to put them in the chat, otherwise we will post this video on the WatchemoketSquareDay.com website or the East Providence Area Chamber website. And if you have any questions, you can send them to me at office@eastprovchamber.com, and that'll come right to me, or find me on Facebook. I'm on there too. And we appreciate everybody sticking with us tonight and listening to all that we were covering. And thank you again to Dave Bachrach, Jim Moran, and Dave Weed for helping make this event possible.
Thank you.
And to our sponsors. Thank you, sponsors.
Absolutely. Thank you.
And thank you, Laura, for your coordination of the
Right.
event.
You did.
Everyone have a great evening, and enjoy the fall weather that we finally seem to have gotten here in November.
We'll see you tomorrow night at City Hall at
Yep.
the Native American celebration at 6 p.m.
All right.
Right.
Thank you.
Great
Thank you
job,
all.
Laura.
Have a good
Have a
night.
good night. Bye now.
Thank you. Good
Bye-bye.
night.
Thank you.